Good morning, guys. Before we move into our last transformation, let's put the finishing touches here on reflections. We just have one more rule to go right here, and that would be the reflection across the y-axis. So after looking at a lot of your responses on Schoology, it looks like you guys can see the pattern. So if we go from the pre-image coordinates over to the new transformed coordinates, you can see that the y-coordinate stays the same and the x-coordinate just becomes the opposite of what it was. Same thing with B. You can see the y-coordinate stays the same and the x-coordinate becomes its opposite. Again, for C, y-coordinate stays the same, x-coordinate becomes its opposite. So as we write what we just said is that y stays the same and in the same spot, and then the x stays in the same spot but becomes whatever the opposite of it was. So if it's positive, it becomes negative. If it's negative, it becomes positive. And you guys did a good job of picking up on that. Everything looked good. Make sure that you check your homework on today's page. All right. So the last transformation is called a translation. And if you go back to the video that's in the folder for April 15th when I first started talking about transformations, this one was called the slide. So I've already created a pre-image, and I put it pretty far away from the origin on purpose because I think after I do this slide, or this translation, the translation is the more official term for it, it's going to be easier to see what the pattern is. Okay, so let's talk about what a translation is or a slide is. Just remember correctly that I made a little mark right here on the y-axis so I could see how many units I've moved. And so if I move this down 1 unit, that would be a slide down 1. Take a look at what's happening to the image and the pre-image. That's a little bit better. Okay, as I move it down twice, and 3 times, and 4 times, and 5 times, and 6 times, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this right here would be a slide or a translation of 10 units downwards. Okay? And that puts that right here. Now normally I would grab my straight edge and remark all of these points, but I decided to draw it ahead of time so that we could make this move a little bit faster. So let me move this guy out of the way. And let me show you what I did here. So exact same picture as we had before. Okay. And all I did was translate it 10 units down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All the way down there. Okay. So you can see that my new image has the correct labels, A prime, B prime, C prime, and D prime. And I've also already taken the liberty of finding all of its new coordinates. All right. So what I want you to do is I want you to take a look at A, which is 6, 17, and look at A prime, which becomes 6, 7. All right. Take a look at the X coordinate. Take a look at what happens to the X coordinate, and then take a look at the Y coordinate, and take a look at what happens to the Y coordinate. Okay. Now remember, we did a translation of 10 units downwards. 10. Let's take a look at B. Look at what happens as we go to B prime. 7 becomes 7. 20 becomes 10. Remember, we're doing a translation downwards by 10. 12 stays 12. 20 becomes 10. And then finally for D to D prime, 9 becomes 9. 15 becomes 5. So I'm hoping that the coordinates that I picked for you make it really easy to see what exactly you're doing when it comes to translating something left and right. I'm sorry, that would be up and down. I'm getting ahead of myself. All right, so I made another one just so we could go over these details a little bit faster. And what you're seeing here with A triple prime, B triple prime, so on and so forth, not sure why I used triple prime here. I could use double prime just as easily, but it is what it is. All right, and what I did, let's take a look at this, is I translated it to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. All right, that's a translation 6 units to the left. Translation 6 units to the left. Now let's take a look at what happens when you translate something left and right. So we'll start with A. A was at 6 and now it's 0. And A is at 17 and it stays at 17. Remember, we're moving 6 units to the left. Let's look at B to B prime. All right, B was 7 comma 20. Take a look. The 20 stays the same and the 7 becomes a 1. Remember, we're moving 6 units to the left. Same thing right here. C to C triple prime. 12 becomes 6. Remember, we're moving 6 units to the left, and the 20 stays a 20. And then finally for D, the 9 becomes a 3. Okay, remember, moving 6 units to the left, and the 15 becomes a 15. So this is going to be one of our tougher ones as far as what patterns you guys are seeing. Wednesday's video will be pretty important as I start to clear up some of the patterns, but I'm really excited to read what you guys write for your hypotheses, your translation hypotheses. And so take a look at that on the in the folder that I have for you today.